What healthcare advice would I give my younger self? Wow.
The health advice I'd give to my younger self would probably be to clean up the diet a lot.
Eat as healthy as possible, perhaps fewer burgers.
I think the fuel that goes into your body determines your overall health.
Remember that a health journey is a marathon.
Now that I'm eating a lot healthier, hopefully I can ensure myself a brighter future.
Eating better can feel daunting. It's not just changing what you eat, but it's how you shop, what you crave, how social you are. There's a lot of things involved with food, right? How can we make this a less intimidating conversation?
So the first thing that I say to people is really when we're talking about nutrition is we're talking about you, the individual. When I work with patients, we talk about patient-centered care. The patient is the person that knows their health better than anyone else. Now, I could have a patient that comes in and I could see that their cholesterol is incredibly high, and I could make a judgment about why that's high. In patient-centered care, I'm gonna allow the patient to tell me their story. And with food, we have to allow people to tell us their food and nutrition journey. It's also the job of the individual to say, you know what? I have a learned experience around food. There's no judgment there. It is what it is. And if I want to make modifications, then I have to acknowledge what I have learned and the patterns that I've been following. And I encourage people really to think about what are you looking for and where do you want to be, and then really remove the guilt, right? We're going to take that off the table completely. It's about you, the individual. What are the small steps that you can take? And it can be as simple as, you know what? I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to buy a fruit in its whole and minimally processed form. And that is good, because guess what? Good is good enough, right? We're not looking for perfection.
Mindfulness is about being present with what's happening in front of you. And when we are talking about eating specifically, we put more attention to the actual act of eating and being mindful. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, but I have. When I'm eating at my desk and I'm working, my food is completely gone and I still feel hungry. Because when we're eating at our desk, we're not fully present with our food. So I think that that's the one issue that I always find with my students, you know, with wanting to be more mindful about their food or what they're eating. It's like really engage your senses, create time, create space, and really allow yourself to immerse yourself into the practice of eating.
People have a really hard time not only understanding nutrition, but they have a hard time setting goals and a hard time with understanding what's good and what's bad. So let's figure out what it is that you want to do with your nutrition, and let's start very small. Always start small. Remember, when you're setting goals, small, attainable goals. That has to be the paradigm in your mind. Get to that goal, reward yourself, and you'll continue on. When it comes to nutrition, stay away from sugary drinks. Stay away from soft drinks and sodas and fruit juices that have high fructose corn syrup in them. I would almost guarantee you if you were doing that, you're probably gonna feel healthier and lose some weight. So that's one super easy way to do it. Whenever you're going for a drink, stay away from the soft drinks. Number two, when you're thinking about foods, avoid creams and sauces and butters. What you'll notice is you'll probably feel a little better when you eat. You won't feel as heavy and you can digest them a lot easier. Now, if you want to keep going and you're really ambitious, I'm going to tell you to pay attention. Pay attention to your diet, pay attention to the food that you buy, pay attention to the food that you bring into the house. The next time you go food shopping, don't purchase the things that you want to avoid, because if they're not in your house, you're not going to eat them. Once you get a little bit further down the line, I want you to pay attention more to what you're eating per day and even write it down. Make a food diary. That's another excellent way to just monitor what you're eating. And you can always revisit that with a nutritionist or with your doctor or with a personal trainer to see what you need to cut out. And again, remember guys, everyone is different and everyone's goals are different when it comes to food and nutrition. But these are some basic pointers that I think might lead you in a really good path.
we slow down, we can really take advantage of both the automated choices that we make in our life and a mindful approach that might help us to reorient where we need to choose differently. When we're thinking about what we eat, oftentimes the challenge is mindlessness. That, we're engaged in a really great conversation and we've not realized that all of a sudden we've eaten this entire entree that we intended to take half home for lunch tomorrow. Or we're going for a snack and we mindlessly grab the first thing that we see off the shelf. Instead, if we can introduce more mindfulness, then we might make better choices for ourselves that align with what we hope to do. So how can we introduce more mindfulness? Slow down. Oftentimes we're moving too fast in this world and we just do what's easiest, what's fastest, what's quickest. And that might mean grabbing the unhealthy junk foods off of the shelf because they're what's most accessible. What we can do when we're out with friends, choose to look first at the appetizer or the small plate section of that menu and find something delicious there rather than starting first with looking at all those entrees that might be more than what we had hoped for our dieting or healthy eating habits. Those are ways that we can mindfully direct ourselves and nudge ourselves into making choices that align with our health goals.
Health exists on a spectrum and it really looks different for everyone. So start with you and what works in terms of your cultural norms. When you're thinking about making these positive, gentle nutrition changes, I want you to think about who you are. I want you to choose foods that are culturally relevant for you, right? Because if you're eating something that's not important to you, you're not likely to show up and have that healthy thing again. The next thing that I say is think about how you can add more plants into your routine. You often hear people saying, eat the rainbow. And when I say eat the rainbow, I mean everything from the white to the completely dark colors. We know that plants offer incredible antioxidant capability. They're involved in improving all areas of your health. So really eat the rainbow. Think about how you can add more plants to your routine. The other thing that some of my patients really benefit from doing is kind of thinking ahead, right? Making a long-term plan. What does my upcoming week look like? And where can I batch prepare foods or really prep those foods in advance so that I have access to nourishing foods that support my desired health outcomes? And then the last thing that I say to people is think about your budget, right? Food and nutrition, we want it to be accessible and simple. If we're talking about increasing your plant intake, frozen foods are absolutely fine. If you're going to have frozen vegetables, read that label, be an informed consumer, make a choice based on your budget and what's accessible. When people are intentional about the foods that show up on their plate, they're like, wow, I feel better. There's a shift in cognition. We see more energy. We see that they're better able to sleep. We see also that they're motivated to continue to engage in that positive, gentle nutrition and movement.